Some goals are not meant for you because it's not your authentic self or your true desire. This is Dr. Spencer Coaches. Today I'm going to talk to you about why some goals are not meant for you and why you might find yourself getting frustrated trying to fulfill these goals, because some goals are really just unfulfilled childhood desires and the fantasies of being a child and what you thought or idealized life to be. And you get into the real world and you find out the dynamics of life, and the professional world especially, are much different. Now, I'm 19 years old. I'm a big fish in a small pond. I was a snowboarder, and I find myself just learning more and more tricks and feeling good about what it was that I was learning and what I am learning. I just learned how to spin a 720 off of a jump, and I thought to myself, wow, I can do this. I can become a professional snowboarder. And I found myself committing more and more time to training at landing tricks and becoming more consistent at performing tricks on the snowboard. And the year is 1994. And I thought, wow, this is it. I found myself. And I went to snowboard camp and talked to some pros. I'm at Mount Hood, Oregon, and talking to some Burton pros about what it takes to become pro. And I learned a whole lot more tricks there, and I felt really, really good about myself. I'm thinking to myself, I am going to do it. I'm going to become a professional snowboarder. I come back home to New Jersey, which is where I grew up, and I realized that there was no support. I did not have the financial support to travel. I did not have the community support to go travel to the contests. And I began to think this is going to be very difficult. But even so, I began to feel a sense of disillusionment. I didn't feel fulfilled, and I found myself realizing this pro snowboarder fantasy I had was nothing more than a desire to be admired. And the desire to be admired came from not having any emotional empathy towards me when I was growing up, and I wanted something inside me to get acknowledged. And it was not my true volition. I did some soul searching, went to a Zen monastery, even went on the Grateful Dead tour in 1995, and I found myself, I'm having all the fun that a late teenager, 19, young adult, 20-something, 21-year-old can have. But my life is going nowhere. What was my purpose? Why was I born? Why can't I be a professional snowboarder? Is it because am I giving up on my true volition? And I realized that's not my true volition. It's a fantasy from childhood, from being a big fish in a little pond, from skateboarding in Wayne, New Jersey, where nobody else skateboarded, and people looked up to me, and I relished the admiration that it gave me. It was a big ego trip that I had, to be a professional snowboarder, how easy life would be, where all I had to do was perform these tricks, people would cheer for me, and I would get paid for it. That couldn't be the furthest thing from the truth about being a professional snowboarder. The year is 1997, and I'm in my first, or I should say second year of college. I'd switched majors from architecture to psychology. My housemate Richie was a former pro snowboarder, and I talked to him about what does it take to become a pro snowboarder? Because I used to be on his team for a local snowboard shop. Me and the other co-workers who were my friends created a team Spesh, and we all thought we were going to become professional snowboarders or somehow make it in that industry. And he said to me, it doesn't matter how good you are. There's plenty of fantastic, really well-talented, great snowboarders that are better than half the pros out there, and nobody knows who they are. Because what it takes to become a pro snowboarder is how hard you party and who you know. because as a professional snowboarder, you become a walking advertisement. The clothes you wear, the board you ride, you need exposure. And the more popular you are, the more exposure you have, the more that product gets shown. That's why it's about who you know. And how hard you party, because you have to show up to all the industry parties and get your name and face known to the whole industry, and wear the clothes and wear the hat and the gear, because you're a walking advertisement. And you got to party with these guys. In industry parties, they party pretty hard. So that's why it's how hard you party. And I got it. I got it. The smooth talkers, the socialites, they get sponsored because they have the ability to connect with people, get their name and face known, and get exposed. And they have the financial backing, the call it the community backing. Maybe it was family or friends, or just being born in the right area where you're exposed to these contests and competition and circuits. That's what it took. I didn't have any of those. And on top of that, I didn't feel that it was my true volition. It wasn't where my heart was really at. I was really into healing and developing my mind, and wanted to understand how my mind worked and why I felt the way I did. That's why I became a psychology major, and it just felt right. Because I had a desire to help people, and I wanted to help people grow and heal. That's why I studied psychology. And I realized I was in the right spot. I was more interested in mental health and even physical health to a certain degree, which I got into later in my life, which is my true desire, my true volition. You see, if you're creating goals for yourself and they're not authentic, they're just desires to fulfill some childhood fantasy, something to build your ego, something to look good and be admired by all, something to improve just your status. Look at what I got. It's going to come across like that. If you're not genuine and authentic to yourself, those goals, yes, you can fulfill some of them only to a certain degree, until that drive, especially that passion, runs out. Because anytime you have a passion just to look good, just to feed your ego, just to be admired, it's going to run out. The only real desire, the only real goal, your only true volition comes from your heart. It comes from your soul. It comes from your spirit. When you feel that force coming from your heart, from what's inside, and not about your self-image, not from your mind, but from your soul, you're going to feel another force carry you through. Call it a divine force. Call it God. Call it Christ. Call it what you will, a higher power. Your true purpose, divine will, inspiration you feel called to. When you feel this deeper sense of purpose, which usually involves some type of altruistic desire or goal, something that benefits the community, that impacts people around you, whether it's a business, whether it's family, whether it's charity, there's something inside you that wants to give to the world, that wants to contribute, because you know that human beings matter and you want to make the world a better place. And that desire, that feeling, that inspiration that you feel coming from within, that is your true goal. That's your true desire, rather. And you create a goal based upon that, your true volition. Because if you fulfill fantasies and try to make a goal out of fantasies, you'll only get so far, and in the end, you'll be disappointed, because you're going to experience a lack of fulfillment and a lack of satisfaction, a lack of connection and love with people, because it's going to be all about you, that narcissistic path of look at me, look at me, look at me. Now, some athletes, sure, that we have moments of pride and arrogance and cockiness and look at me. You know, athletes have this, but they're putting on a show for people. That's their contribution, is they're creating fans. Same with movie stars and rock stars. They're contributing entertainment to people. And they're on a stage, so they're playing a character. Most of those people are not like that when they get home. They may appear to be cocky on stage, but when you sit down with them one-on-one, they're not like that. There's something inside you that wants to be let out, something coming from your heart. Find out what that is. Discover what's important to you. What are your core values? What makes you feel fulfilled? Then create a goal from that, and you'll find there'll be a force bigger than you, sustaining you, carrying you through, that's going to get you to the end. And you'll figure out what you need to figure out. You'll learn as you go. And you'll figure out a way to make it happen. Because that's just how life works. When you commit to something and commit to something that is authentic, something that is genuine, then that commitment becomes just a little easier because there's something bigger than you carrying you through. That's how you find your true goal, and that's how you make your goals truly fulfilling and rewarding. Whether it's in business, whether it's with a family, whether it's just your own career, discover what truly matters to you and express that unapologetically. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave a comment below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this podcast. Thank you so much for listening. I sure hope this helps.